Sarah has just bought herself a new touchscreen laptop. After she used it for a couple of months, she realized that the stylus is no longer interacting with the user interface. Which of the following would be the most likely cause of her issue? Is it A, inverter? Is it B, mini PCIe card? Is it C, Wi-Fi adapter? Is it D, digitizer? Or is it E, trackpad? You now have 5 seconds. And the correct answer is D, digitizer. Okay, when we are talking about the touchscreen, aka the digitizer, it is the thin, transparent layer of plastic which reads the signal from the touch and transports it to the processing unit. It is the part that you can touch without disassembling the device. LCD screen is the panel that is inside the device which displays the image. If both LCD and touchscreen are damaged, you may still able to use portions of the touchscreen, and some parts of the LCD may display the image, but you will incur obvious difficulties in using the device as normal. Okay, let us now analyze the incorrect answers. The inverter is a pen-sized board that is usually placed on the bottom of the LCD screen, either in the same case with the LCD screen or above the keyboard. The inverter is one of the key parts within a display. It allows for the laptop's display to be lit by providing power to the screen's backlight. The most common cause of failure or malfunctioning for inverters is an improper installation, often a combination of not following the user's manual recommendation and selecting inappropriate cable type, gauges, or inline fuses. The inverter's failure is very similar to the backlight lamp failure. In both cases, the screen gets very dark and the image becomes very faint, barely visible under a bright light. The standard PCI Express mini card form factor, or mini PCIe, is a small version of the PCI Express peripheral interface for laptop computers and other portable devices. Using standard PCI Express signaling, mini PCI Express or mini PCIe cards are designed for internal use, plugging directly into the motherboard. If your laptop's mini PCIe connection would be faulty, you couldn't connect to the internet at all. Your laptop would not be able to see your wireless NIC or network interface card at all. A wireless adapter is a hardware device that is attached to a computer or laptop and allows it to connect to a wireless network. Typically, they come in the form of a USB dongle device that you can input into your computer. A USB Wi-Fi adapter overrides the computer's built-in wireless functionality, giving you a faster, more reliable connection to your available network signals through the USB port instead. Since most computers have at least one USB port, you'll typically be able to use it on both laptop and desktops. Plus, the plug-and-play convenience means that you can remove the device when it is not needed to use in another computer. And the touchpad on a laptop does the same job as the mouse on a desktop PC. It is sometimes also called a trackpad. The touchpad is used to control the mouse pointer, also known as the cursor. The cursor is used to point and choose or activate items on the screen. If your trackpad would be faulty, you won't be able to move the cursor at all. One way you could troubleshoot this issue would be to try uninstalling your touchpad driver. Open Device Manager, right-click or press and hold the touchpad driver and select Uninstall. Restart your device and Windows will attempt to reinstall the driver. Okay, let us now jump to our next question. And question number 2 states, you would like to use your laptop with the Ethernet connection, but your laptop is missing an integrated RJ45 connection. Which of the following devices would allow you to connect your laptop to the wired Ethernet network? Is it A, 802.11 mini PCIe card? Is it B, docking station? Is it C, VGA? Or is it D, managed switch? You now have 5 seconds. And the correct answer is B, a docking station. A docking station is an interface device allowing portable computers with little or no effort to attach to other devices. Docking stations allows the laptop to be connected directly to the docking station without any external cables being required. Docking stations enable users with a laptop computer to convert it into a desktop computer when at office or at home. A dedicated docking station powers your laptop, drives one or more displays, connects to a wired network, and allows you to keep USB devices, including a full-sized keyboard and mouse, attached. Okay, and now for the incorrect answers. The standard PCI Express mini card form factor, or mini PCIe, is a small version of a PCI Express peripheral interface for laptop computers and other portable devices. Using standard PCI Express signaling, mini PCI Express or mini PCIe cards are designed for internal use, plugging directly into the motherboard. If your laptop's mini PCIe connection would be faulty, you couldn't connect to the internet at all. Your laptop would not be able to see your wireless NIC or network interface card at all. VGA stands for Video Graphics Array. A VGA cable is a device used to transfer video signals. It does this by acting as a link between the computer and the monitor or between the computer and the television screen. VGA is an analog interface. And the managed switch is a device that can be configured and properly managed to offer a more tailored experience to those who will be utilizing the box. These not only offer tools and means to monitor the network, but also control over traffic. Managed switches are typically more complex and require some skill to set up and maintain, but allow for greater control over the network. Unmanaged switches are plug-and-play devices that come with a fixed configuration that cannot be changed, but still provides an Ethernet connection. Okay, let us now jump to our next question, and question number 3 states: James is working as an accountant and would like to print a document on his office laser printer. He would like to print a document on both sides of the paper. Which of the following settings should he configure in order to achieve this? Is it A, landscape? Is it B, orientation? Is it C, call it? Or is it D, duplex? You now have 5 seconds. And the correct answer is D, duplex. Duplex printing means that you can print on both sides of the paper with your printer either automatically or manually turning the paper over after the first side is printed. To duplex print, your model will need to have this functionality built in. Simplex printing, on the other hand, only allows for printing on one side of the paper. Okay, now for the incorrect answers. Landscape mode is a horizontal orientation of a document or image. Landscape mode is commonly used to print charts or other images, and text may not fit properly if the page is oriented in portrait mode or vertically. Page orientation is the direction in which a document is displayed or printed. And when referring to printing, call it is a term used to describe how printed material is organized. For example, imagine printing a document that is 5 pages long. If multiple copies are being printed and call it is selected, pages 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 would print in that order, then repeat. All pages of one copy of the document print before the next copy's pages are printed. If call it was disabled, all copies of page 1 would print, then all copies of page 2 would print, etc. Okay, let us now jump to our next question. And question number 4 states: you are working as a network technician. You have just noticed an alert saying that a drive in RAID 1 array has failed. Which of the following options would be the best way to approach this issue? Is it A, to replace all drives in the array and resync the array? Is it B, to replace the bad drive and restore from backup? Is it C, to replace all drives in the array and restore from backup? Or is it D, to replace the bad drive and resync the array? You now have 5 seconds. And the correct answer is D, to replace the bad drive and resync the array. A RAID 1 array, or redundant array of independent disks, is a popular disk or solid-state drive SSD subsystem that increases safety by writing the same data on 2 drives. Called mirroring, RAID 1 does not increase performance. However, if one drive fails, the second drive is used and the failed must be manually replaced. After replacement, the RAID controller duplicates the contents of the working drive onto the new one. To fix the RAID array in this case, the failed drive must be replaced and the data from the redundant drive will synchronize with the newly installed drive. Okay, now for the incorrect answers. To replace all the drives in the array and resync the array. When referring to a RAID 1 array or mirrored array, it will continue to function as normal and the entirety of your data will be still available, even when a drive fails. In case you would decide to replace only the failed drive, the data will automatically be copied to the newly installed drive, but in case you decide to swap all the drives, you will lose all your data since you have replaced the one that is still functional as well. There would be no data to be copied because the newly installed drives are empty. To replace the bad drive and restore from backup. As previously mentioned, RAID 1 is a mirrored array. If we were to lose a single drive, the entirety of the data will still be available on the remaining drive, so there's no point in restoring data from a backup source. And to replace all the drives in the array and restore from backup, there's no point in replacing all the drives from the array. RAID 1 being a mirrored array, the data is still available on one drive, so in this case it is pointless to swap all the drives and restore from a backup source. Only one is faulty. Okay, let us now jump to our next question, and question number 5 states: your colleague has tripped over the Ethernet cable and managed to break the RJ45 connector. You can see that the individual wires are separated from the RJ45 jack. Which of the following tools would be your best choice in order to solve this issue? Is it A, a voltmeter? Is it B, a multimeter? Is it C, a toner generator and probe? Or is it D, a crimper? You now have 5 seconds. And the correct answer is D, a crimper. Crimping tool is a device used to conjoin 2 pieces of metal by deforming one or both of them to hold each other. The result of the tool's work is called a crimp. An example of crimping is affixing a connector to the end of a cable. For instance, network cables and phone cables are creating using a crimping tool to join RJ45 and RJ11 connectors to both ends of the Ethernet cable. Okay, now for the incorrect answers. A voltmeter is an instrument that measures voltages of either direct or alternating electric current on a scale usually graduated in volts, millivolts, or kilovolts. Many voltmeters are digital, giving readings as numerical displays. Just like the voltmeter, you can record voltage with a multimeter, and it has the capability to measure ohms and amps, the units of resistance and current. The difference between the two is that if you need to measure voltage, then a voltmeter is sufficient. But if you want to measure voltages and other things such as resistance and current, then you have to go with a multimeter. The most significant difference in both devices is going to be whether you buy a digital or analog version. The turner and probe are used in tandem to trace a single copper-based twisted pair of Ethernet or coax cable among a bundle or cluster of cables. The tone generator is typically placed at the end of a cable, and the probe is waved around in the wiring closet near the cables to locate the connection. It will make a distinctive noise when it's near the correct cable. Okay, let us now jump to our next question, and question number 6 states: which of the following devices allows for the connection of multiple desktop devices to the network, but the efficiency decreases as the network traffic increases? Is it A, a router? Is it B, a managed switch? Is it C, a switch? Or is it D, a hub? You now have 5 seconds. And the correct answer is D, a hub. Networking hubs are at a disadvantage against network switches in every technical area. Switches and hubs perform the same general function of connecting computers and computer-like devices to a network, but switches do everything better. Network hubs can only communicate in half-duplex mode. They can only send or receive data at any given time. A hub in a network situation is constantly switching between sending and receiving data, which creates an inefficient data flow process. The term full duplex describes simultaneous data transmission and receptions over one channel. Half-duplex devices can only transmit data in one direction at one time. With half-duplex mode, data can move in two directions but not at the same time. A network collision occurs when two or more devices attempt to transmit data over a network at the same time. For example, if two computers on an Ethernet network send data at the same moment, the data will collide and will not finish transmitting, thus resulting in a much slower connection. Okay, and now for the incorrect answers. Normally, routers and switches interfaces have the capability to work at full duplex as well as half duplex. By default, the interfaces work on auto negotiation, which negotiates the speed and the duplex for the link between two devices connected in a segment of the network. Auto negotiation is the feature that allows a port on a switch, router, server, or other device to communicate with the device on the other end of the link to determine the optimal duplex mode and speed for the connection. The driver then dynamically or automatically configures the interface for the values determined for that link. Speed is the rate of the interface, usually listed in megabits per second or Mbps. Common Ethernet speeds include 10 megabits per second, 100 megabits per second, and 1000 megabits per second. 1000 megabits per second Ethernet is also referred to as gigabit Ethernet. Duplex refers to how data flows on the interface. Okay, let us now jump to our next question. And question number 7 states: which of the following devices is a physical or virtual appliance that passes information between two or more packet switch computer networks, that inspects a given data packet's destination Internet Protocol address or IP address, calculates the best way for it to reach its destination, and then forwards it accordingly? Is it A, a managed switch? Is it B, a router? Is it C, a hub? Or is it D, a repeater? You now have 5 seconds. And the correct answer is B, a router. A router is a networking device that forwards data packets between computer and networks. Routers perform the traffic directing functions on the internet. Data sent through the internet, such as a web page or email, is in the form of data packets. A routing table is an internal table that a computer or router uses to determine which router interface to send packets to, based on their destination network addresses. When a router receives a packet, the router checks its routing table to determine if the destination address is for a system on one of its attached networks, or if the message must be forwarded through another router. It then sends the message to the next system in the path to the destination. Okay, now for the incorrect answers. A managed network switch is a technology that connects multiple devices together on a single local area network or a LAN. A managed network switch uses packet switching to filter and forward data to specific devices, whilst also providing admins with the ability to configure, manage, and monitor a LAN. Packet switching breaks data into several parts that are packaged in specially formatted units called packets. These are typically routed from the source to the destination using network switches and routers. Then the data is reassembled at the destination. Each packet contains address information that identifies the sending computer and the intended recipient. Using these addresses, network switches and routers determine how best to transfer the packet between hops on the path to its destination. For example, a 5 megabits file will be divided into packets, each with a packet header that includes the origin IP address, the destination IP address, the number of packets in the entire data file, and the sequence number. In a network, broadcast traffic is a message that is sent out to every node or device on the network or a portion of the network or LAN segment. A broadcast domain is a logical division of a computer network in which all nodes can reach each other by broadcast at the data link layer. The term collision domain is used to describe a part of the network where packet collisions can occur. Packet collisions occur when two devices on a shared network segment send packets simultaneously. The colliding packets must be discarded and sent again, which reduces network efficiency. Collisions often occur in a hub environment because all the devices connected to the hub are in the same collision domain. Only one device may transmit at a time, and all the other devices connected to the hub must listen to the network in order to avoid collisions. Total network bandwidth is shared among all devices. And the repeater functions as a kind of relay system for your wireless internet network. The repeater picks up the signal transmitted by your router and amplifies it while sending it through your home or office. You'll also be able to get reception in areas where the signal previously could not reach. One potential drawback of using a wireless repeater is that it uses up the network's throughput capacity, which is essentially its bandwidth. The process of receiving and retransmitting data frames actually doubles the amount of frames used, meaning throughput capacity is cut in half. This could impact your network's overall performance and speed. Okay, let us now jump to our next question, and question number 8 states: which of the following devices is an electronic device that receives a signal and retransmits it, and are used to extend transmissions so that the signal can cover longer distances or be received on the other side of an obstruction? Is it A, a hub? Is it B, a switch? Is it C, a repeater? Is it D, a router? Or is it E, a managed switch? You now have 5 seconds. And the correct answer is C, a repeater. We have already talked about all these devices in the previous question, so there's no point in going back on that. Now let's move to our next question. And question number 9 states: your manager is organizing a meeting and you would like to use his laptop to connect to an LCD projector. When he tries to make the connection between the two devices, the image is not displaying through the projector. Which of the following options should be your first choice in order to resolve this issue? Is it A, to power cycle the projector? Is it B, to replace the projector's bulb? Is it C, to use the FN button? Or is it D, to replace the cable? You now have 5 seconds. And the correct answer is C, to use the FN button. When pressed, the FN key enables a secondary purpose of other keys on the keyboard, such as the function keys F1 through F12. For example, on some laptops, holding the FN key and pressing a key with a secondary function adjusts the screen's brightness. Other special functions enabled by the FN key may include switching to an external monitor or controlling audio or video playback. Sometimes you may have to press a keyboard combination to display the contents of your screen using the projector. On most laptops, this key combination is the function key, or FN, followed by F8. The key should be marked usually as CRT or LCD. Okay, now for the incorrect answers. Power cycling refers to the act of turning a device or piece of electrical or electronic equipment off, or otherwise disconnecting it from its power source, and then turning it back on again. Even though power cycling the projector may be a fix in this situation, make sure to read the questions carefully. The question asks us for the first choice in order to resolve this issue, and the easiest option is to use the FN button. Remember to always question the obvious. There are no trick questions in this exam. If a question seems easy, it's probably because it actually is. If you turn the projector on, hear an audible pop, then the screen goes completely dark. You've just probably heard your projector bulb burning out. Some symptoms of a failed projector bulb will include an indicator light on the message on the projector, dim light from the projector, color shifting, complete failure or popping sound, lower intensity projections, faded blacks and an overall smoky picture. It takes longer for your projector to turn on, blurriness and loss of sharpness from the projection, and your projector is on but the lamp will not activate at all. Discolored images, pixelated images, and constant flickering are classic examples of what you might see if there's a bad cable connecting a laptop to a projector. If your cable is bad, you'll also see artifacting and skipping from the signal of your digital video, or at worst you won't get any signal to your projector at all. Usually the quick fix solution to a bad cable is to replace it, since they come in cheap enough. And for the last question of our exam, question number 10. And the question states: Sarah would like to enable DHCP on her desktop computer, but she would prefer to have the same IP address every time she boots up her device. Which of the following options would be the best choice for her to make? Is it A, to use a PIPA? Is it B, to use VPN? Is it C, to directly connect her desktop computer to a switch? Or is it D, to create an IP reservation on the DHCP server? You now have 5 seconds. And the correct answer is D, to create an IP reservation on the DHCP server. Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, or DHCP, is a network management protocol used to automate the process of configuring devices on IP networks, thus allowing them to use network services such as DNS, NTP, and any communication protocol based on UDP or TCP. A DHCP server dynamically assigns an IP address and other network configuration parameters to each device on a network so they can communicate with other IP networks. It uses UDP, or User Datagram Protocol, port 67, which is the destination port of a DHCP server, and UDP port 68, which is used by the client. DHCP servers support something called a DHCP reservation, which essentially allows you to provide a preset IP address to a specific client based on its physical MAC address. This means that the device will always get the same IP address and it will never change. For example, a wireless printer. When you print something, your computer and printer locate each other using IP addresses. If your printer's IP address keeps changing, your computer may not always be able to find it. Giving your printer a static IP address ensures that your computer always knows the address of your printer and it won't change if it's rebooted or a DHCP IP lease expires. And now for the incorrect answers. Automatic Private IP Addressing, or PIPA, is a feature of Windows-based operating systems that enables a computer to automatically assign itself an IP address when there is no Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol or DHCP server available to perform that function. When a Windows computer isn't able to communicate with the DHCP server, something called Automatic Private IP Addressing, or PIPA, kicks in. It assigns the computer an IP address that starts with 169.254. These IP addresses are only useful on local networks or LANs, not the internet. The IP address range for a PIPA is 169.254.0.1 to 169.254.255.254. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network, a service that protects your internet connection and privacy online. It creates an encrypted tunnel for your data, protects your online identity by hiding your IP address, and allows you to use public Wi-Fi hotspots safely. When you switch on a VPN, your traffic is routed through an encrypted tunnel to a server operated by the VPN company. That means that your ISP or internet service provider and anything or anyone connected to your router won't be able to see your web traffic. And normally you would directly connect your computer to a switch in order to manage or configure it. Ladies and gents, this is the end of our exam. If and only if you found this video useful, make sure to drop a sub and share it with your friends. I hope you found this video informative, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!